We had a couple of weeks off, but we're back. We've got loads of superhero stuff to talk about today by the looks of it, but some other fun stuff to catch up on as well. Big MCU release, that's going to be our Let's Talk today, our full review of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I'm Ant-Man today, Hank Pym, not Scott Lang, obviously. Jeannine is the Wasp today. She's gone with Hope Van Dyne, not Janet Van Dyne, because Janet lies, as we like to find out in new movies. There's a Fast and Furious trailer. There's some news about Lethal Weapon 5. There's also some other things that we want to talk about. Fun things. I've been away. That was exciting. Jeannine has a, unfortunately, less exciting story. Anyway, we're here. We're excited. Welcome to the madness. That was a long intro, wasn't it? Hello, everyone. How are we? Welcome to this episode of Monday Madness. Jeannine, it is lovely to be back. I would like to be referred to as Hank Pym for the entire show.
Okay.
Please.
Well, it's nice to have you back, Hank.
I just feel very connected to Michael Douglas's Hank Pym because
Why?
he's
Do
kind
you love
of...
ants?
No, but he's kind of an old weirdo. And I just feel the connection there.
He's
I
an
feel
old
I am an
weirdo.
old weirdo at heart.
I don't think he's a weirdo, but
I think he is a weirdo. No, not like a creep. Not like... I mean, just like he likes weird things. Like, who likes ants? Hank Pym likes ants. Scott Lang doesn't even like ants, really. He just is Ant-Man. Like, Hank Pym really likes ants.
Yes. As we
He
learned in this
genuinely has a
movie,
love
even
for
more.
ants.
Yes.
But he's also, you know, really fun and quirky and strange. A weirdo. I am Hank Pym. You are Hope Van Dyne. You are hopeful,
Yes.
and you save the world. But you don't have a silly haircut.
No.
Thankfully. Anyway, how are we? How are we? Are we all good? Are we all okay? I am excited to be back on Monday Madness. Jeannine, are you?
Yes, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute, so it's good to be back. I hope you had a good time on your vacation.
I did, yes. That's where I've been. I've been up in the mountains. I say up in the mountains as though like 4 hours away. It was, across the ocean away.
Yes.
I was in Canada, or in the mountains, getting fresh mountain air, sliding down the mountain very quickly on 2 metal sticks.
If you follow Morgan on his brand new TikTok, will see he is a very avid skier.
That's a nice plug. Thank you, Jeannine. I have actually made a TikTok now. Morgan's on TikTok now. Yes, there will obviously be movie stuff there. There may very well be movie stuff there by the time this episode comes out of Monday Madness. But yes, that is there at the Purple Dawn on TikTok. That is where you can find me over there. I'm excited actually. I'm not feeling as intimidated by said platform as I once was, which is nice, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been guiding you and giving you some pointers on how to do things when you need it. So,
you have.
Yeah.
Which I need because I'm an old weirdo like Hank Pym, who would not know how to use TikTok.
I mean, you're the young one, so you're supposed to know more about it than me, but,
No, it's not how it works with me, though, is it, really?
Yes, no.
It's
like
really
an 80-year-old
not how
man.
it works with me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I know nothing, as several people once said to Jon Snow.
Yes.
You know nothing. I don't know where my mind's at, Jeannine. Yes, that's where I was. I was having fun.
Yes.
I was having a lot of fun. Jeannine, unfortunately, you were having fun, but one particular incident wasn't very fun at all.
Yes. So I had a couple fun weekends in LA while Morgan was away. So, no recording schedule. So I got to kind of go and do some fun things. A friend from high school, actually, his band was playing a show at the Viper Room. all my visits to LA, I'd never been to the Viper Room, famous location. So I thought, oh, that'll be really fun. I can support a friend and go to another LA place I've never been. So I got some tickets for me and some of my LA friends to go check out the show and support. So it was a really fun night. The bands that played were really great. Got to my friend's show, ran into some other people from high school, so it was really fun. Kind of seeing some other people, and we were all kind of rocking out to the concert and seeing our friend. So then those high school friends were like, well, we're going to this gay club, so meet us over there. So me and some of my LA friends decided to head over to the gay club to meet them. So it started very kind of weird because we were in line waiting to get into the club, and uh, an old man pinches my ass and then
Oh, that's
just like
nice. Yes.
winks at me and walks away. So that was weird. Immediately right after that, another guy puts his hands on my shoulders and says, "Oh, nice Halloween costume." Just kidding. So I don't know what that was about. And then we go into the club. So we're hanging out. We're all kind of huddled around a table. Some of us are standing talking, some of us are sitting at the table. One of my friends texts me and says they're there. So I set my phone down on the table. I go to greet them, bring them to where we're at. I'm talking to them for like maybe a minute when one of my high school friends taps me on the shoulder. She's like, "Oh my gosh, somebody just stole my phone. It was literally in my back pocket and they just pulled it out of my pocket." So then one of my friends says, "Hey, well, where's your phone?" And I look at the table where it was sitting, literally for like 2 minutes, it was sitting there, and my phone was gone. My friends call my phone immediately. It's already turned off. So, yeah, got my phone stolen. So it was a great night up until that point. So then had to go the
Yeah.
rest of the night without a phone, just very stressful. So luckily my friends are awesome. They stayed with me most of the night. And then one of my friends, our mutual friend Brandon Hanna, took me to the AT&T store the next day. And after shelling out a decent amount of cash, I was able to buy a new phone. And problem solved. And luckily my phone had updated on the cloud like at 5 o'clock that night before. So basically, the only things that weren't on my phone were the pictures and things that I had taken of the concert. But luckily, I had posted pictures and videos and things and had sent videos and pictures and things to people. So I could get them off my socials. I could get people who I sent them to were able to send them back to me. So luckily, all my information was still there. So yes, problem solved. Got my phone back the very next day. Not my phone, but a new phone.
Yeah.
But I upgraded to the newest iPhone, so,
Terrifying.
kind of
Terrifying.
yes, but very stressful night, frustrating night, very upsetting
Oh,
night,
yeah.
not
Yeah.
having I'm out of town. I obviously need a phone to, like, get home and to call people and, communicate. So it was very stressful hours of the night not having a phone with me. Um, so yes, it was very rough. But then the next weekend I did go to LA and my kind of core group of friends who like I think our group has not really been together in a very long time. We finally got together. So it was a nice um coming together of our little group who was never all together in the same place at once.
Good.
So
I
yes.
admittedly would like to be a part of that as a
Yes.
sixth member,
Well, I mean, Kaiser is like a
seventh
rotating
member,
Kaiser
seventh.
is a rotating member of our group. But like our core like crew that we kind of became this friend group in a New York schmodown trip. So it's like Brandon Hanna, Brianne
I
Chandler,
see.
Kevin Smets, me, and Frank Janish. So it's like the five of us, and then Kaiser's kind of part of that too. And so Brienne had her birthday party this past weekend. And so we were all invited. So we were all actually there. So we got to take pictures together. And so it was like our kind of, and Kevin's moving. So it was kind of a nice
Yes.
getting together of the 5/6 of us in a very long time. So it was
Good.
really nice.
Good.
Yes.
Fun things, but with not fun things, but with things that
Yes.
ended up
So
sorting themselves
ended
out.
up
And it
sorting
actually
themselves out, but
could have
ugh,
been a hell of a lot worse. Which, if it
yes.
starts with creepy people,
Yes, like some old man literally
Then
pinching my ass, some white man telling me my face looks like a Halloween costume, and then
not
my
a very
phone getting
nice thing to
stolen.
say.
Yeah, it was just a mirage of barrage of things all happening at
Yes.
once. So it was a very
Yeah.
difficult night, but I had good friends. Luckily, I have good friends in LA that were supportive and there for me, and yeah, it was really appreciative. But the show was really great. My friend's band is really great. So if you want to listen to them, they are called Protect Your Heart. Great band. Check them out.
There you go.
Yes.
Do it, people. Support good people, which
Yes.
they seem to be. Anyway, there we go. Personal stories. I know mine wasn't much of a story, but
Yeah,
social
no.
media. Social media is there if you want to go
Check
and have a
out
look at
Morgan's
pictures of what
TikTok.
I've
He is
done.
like a really pro looking skier. Like
No,
I,
no.
I yes.
My thighs can't take that. My
Well,
thighs have felt like bricks ever since I've been back.
well, you look very slick and smooth, like you knew what you were doing. So very
Don't get me
impressed.
wrong. I know what I'm doing, but there's a difference. It's like knowing what you're doing any sort of sporting activity. Like you can know what you're doing, but to say something ridiculously complimentary like pro skills or whatever is
Well,
just
to a novice like
unnecessarily
me
silly,
who's
Jeannine.
never been on the snow in that aspect, it looks very pro. So
Perhaps. Well, let's get into some of the what's up topics for
yes.
today. Should I just ask the question?
Yes.
11 and a half minutes into the show.
Ooh.
Sup, Jeannine?
We have quite a few things up, Morgan.
We
Um,
do. Should we
yes.
start with just something that was released, that was announced, that was here you
Yeah.
go, have this, it's exciting. Is it exciting? There's a new picture of Joker 2, Jokey FOLIE A DEUX, which shows Lady Gaga
As
in
Harley
a
Quinn.
little bit of Harley Quinn makeup. Just a
Yeah. So
touch.
released on Valentine's Day by the director Todd Phillips, just says Happy Valentine's Day, and just a picture of Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix in a like just maybe having just kissed kind of position. She looks like
Looks
she
like
has
it.
some musk red lips. So we don't really see any kind of costume things. We just kind of a picture of them
No.
kind of gazing intensely at each other. So definitely hitting the vibes of the characters. I'm really curious to see how it goes because we did, while we did get this unreliable narrator kind of element to the ending of that film, I think it's safe to say he did end up in Arkham in an asylum kind of hospital aspect. So would be kind of very fitting for the meeting of Harley Quinn and then continuing the story from there. So
It would actually be quite
potentially,
interesting to see that kind of world's version of the actual meeting of the two of them.
yeah,
And the actual, Harleen being the psychiatrist, being, the one
manipulated
speaking to
and
Joker, being
yes,
manipulated by Joker. In this particular
environment.
world, in this particular instance as well,
Yeah.
where he's obviously
Hmm.
very uncomic book like,
Yes.
and
So this real
unfantastical.
gritty.
It would be
Yes.
really, it'd be interesting to see it in that aspect. I
And
mean,
it's a
you know,
musical, so
it is. This is the weirdness of this second movie, really, isn't it? Um, this picture is just it's a picture. It doesn't tell us anything new. It's just giving us more, I suppose, excitement, really,
yeah.
to see these two together. They're kind of two. I mean, Gaga is becoming considerably more well respected and better as an actor
Yeah.
in obviously recent years, and Joaquin Phoenix has obviously been a phenomenal actor for a good couple of decades now, at
Yeah.
least. So there's nothing surprising there, but it's going to be interesting to see them
Yeah,
as
I mean,
a
this as a
essentially
first look.
damaged romantic partnership.
Yes, I mean, for the little bit we get in this first look, very intense stares at each other, so very
Yeah,
accurate to kind of what these characters are and their relationship. So, I'm
yeah,
curious to see more, but a nice little taste on Valentine's Day. So, thank you, Todd Phillips, for that little look
definitely.
into this movie.
Definitely. Well, what about this little announcement news of a second I Am Legend movie? This doesn't make any sense. How can you make a
Yes.
second one of this? This is I Am Legend.
He blew himself up
A
at the end, but
sequel?
yes, there was an alternate ending where I think there's a dispute of like what these creatures are. I do believe they're essentially vampires because they don't
They
go out
are
in the light,
vampires. They
but
are
people think they're
vampires.
zombies. But they are vampire like creatures, and he does take one of them. And in the alternate ending, the kind of leader, they're only after him because he took the mate of the leader. So once he kind of sees that he has developed some kind of maybe working cure for one of them and he gives her back to the people, he survives. So it's not a big I blow
Yeah.
myself up at the end. So they are going off of
Which
the
is a
alternate
bet.
ending.
I
Yes.
do just think the blow yourself up ending is a better ending, though. I know it
Yes.
doesn't set up anything.
But it's just
I
a
know.
weird, I think it's a choice to kind of just go with the alternate ending that you would only see if you had a Blu-ray or DVD
Yeah,
to see it.
that not
But that's
everybody
the
knows
ending.
about at all.
Yeah, so that's the ending where he survives. So I knew about it because I do have a copy of this movie. Um and Michael B. Jordan's going to be in it. So I'm curious to see where this
Yeah,
story goes and how they're going to kind of work with maybe circulating that ending so that people are aware
I
of it
guess so.
maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I guess you
Um
probably have to retread the alternate ending at the beginning of the movie. I would imagine is
yeah.
what's going to happen.
Yes, people will be confused, but they have plenty of
Yeah,
time to kind of put the idea out there, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I liked that movie. I believe it was a remake. I think you and Nolan covered the original film on
yeah.
It's a
I
Wonderful
mean,
podcast.
obviously, I Am Legend is a book
Yeah.
that was made into the movie The Last Man on Earth with Vincent
Hmm.
Price in 1962 that I did bring up actually on our 250th
Hmm.
episode of It's a Wonderful Podcast, the main show that was last Friday. So if you haven't checked that out, if you haven't gone to
Yes.
listen
A
to that,
celebration of the show.
yes, wonderfully huge episode that it was, full of favourites and awards
Yes.
and mustaches and other such fun things like that. Um, please do go and listen to that. Thank you for 250 episodes of the main show.
Yes.
It's unbelievable that we've hit that. And we're not stopping anytime soon, so plenty more celebrating old movies to come. I Am Legend. I Am Legend was a book. It was made into The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. Now, obviously, at the end of that movie, it's a sacrificing situation the same. It's a very, very bleak movie. It's a dark, kind of miserable movie.
Yeah.
And the sacrifice of yourself, is at the end of the movie, is the kind of key gut punch of that entire movie. And I felt very similar to that as I feel about Will Smith's I Am Legend,
Yeah.
which is a good movie. I think it's somewhat more watchable than The Last Man on Earth because I don't think it's presented quite as miserably.
Yes, and I'm
I
sure
think it's
the
more
Will
of an
Smith
action
one
movie,
is more action packed. Yes.
certainly. But the ending of that or the theatrical ending of that is the same, essentially. A sacrifice of yourself,
Yeah.
or of himself. So yeah, to have a sequel, I mean, I would ask why. Am I excited for this movie? Not massively, because I prefer that story with its original ending because
Yeah.
I think it works better with its original ending, even though that is sadder.
Yeah.
It's nice to think of Will Smith surviving I Am Legend, but he shouldn't because that's not how that story ends.
I mean,
you know?
I didn't mind the alternate ending, so I'm fine either way. And um but I mean, I'm also fine with how it ended. So if they craft a good story, I like Michael B.
Yeah,
Jordan, Will
you
Smith
can't
is
fault
kind of
Michael B. Jordan.
yes, Will Smith is kind of in this effort to get back his good name, you know.
He
Um
is. He is.
so
Yes.
yeah, I'm curious to see if they craft an interesting story around it. I'll be into it. But Yeah, it's
That's a,
very,
that
very
is a fair.
interesting way to kind of bring the story back in going with an alternate ending that you would only see on on the DVD.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
I think you can obviously, I mean, maybe this is just, I'd like to think it's not, but with obviously The Last of Us doing so well, are we just going to get another swarm of zombie apocalypse kind of movies and shows that are nowhere near as good?
Well, I mean, this guy who like is bringing this back, I think he was just like, well, I really liked The Last of Us and what that movie was doing,
This
and
is
then
just
what that show.
annoying to me.
So, I
This is
really
so
think,
annoying
is
to me.
The Last of Us
Why?
going to bring back this
Oh,
zombie renaissance that came
no,
when The Walking Dead
I
came
don't
out? It was
want it.
like zombie
You,
obsessed everything, zombie movies,
but
and
it was so much drivel. It was so much bad stuff. And I just feel like it's going to be the same situation.
so The Last of Us is definitely bringing the post-apocalyptic element back again. I feel
God
like.
damn it. God damn it.
Yes.
You know what else is being brought back,
What's
Jeannine?
that?
For some reason, even though he was too old for this shit in
When he
1987
was turning 50 years old
in the movie world,
in the movie
Danny
world.
Glover at 76, he's coming back for Lethal Weapon 5, directed by Mel Gibson.
Yes. So I was just scrolling on TikTok and I stumbled across this interview that Mel Gibson was just like an evening with Mel Gibson. And the interviewer had asked him about Lethal Weapon and if he would come back for a fifth one. And he's like, oh, I think we could do it. Um, I could like pretend, because I think she asked if they would be too old for this shit. And he was like, we could fake it.
Obviously.
Yes. And then he had gone into talking about Richard Donner. He got a little bit emotional because
Yeah.
he's worked with Richard Donner like 6 times. So the 4 Lethal Weapon movies, I think they did Conspiracy Theory and I can't remember the other movie they did. Oh, Maverick.
I couldn't tell you.
Maverick.
Oh, did Richard Donner do Maverick?
Yes, I mean we got a little
that.
Lethal Weapon kind of Easter egg in there, if you remember, when he's robbing the bank.
Some
He runs
time
into
ago.
Yeah, they rob a bank and he runs into Danny Glover and they look at each other and you hear a little bit of the Lethal Weapon music. And then when Danny Glover robs the bank and gets on his horse to ride away, he says, "I'm too old for this shit."
Okay.
So yes, so he loved working with Richard, and Richard had talked to him. Richard, I think, had worked on a treatment for Lethal Weapon 5 before he died, and he kind of went to Mel Gibson and said to him, promise me you'll do it, even if I kick the bucket. So it was kind of like a conversation they had before Richard Donner passed away. So that's kind of why I think Mel Gibson is taking the helm of this movie and doing it, and has since said that in that interview that Danny Glover is also coming back. So, how do you feel about a Lethal Weapon 5? Do you think they are too old for this shit? Do you think it's too late? Do you think it's the perfect timing in this era of the legacy kind of sequel? Do you think it'll work? Do you think,
I
know
actually have
there
many
are weird
thoughts.
feelings about Mel Gibson in terms of separating the art from the artist. I think he's kind of an easier one to do that with, I think, for people, maybe. I don't know.
Is he though? Is he though?
I mean,
Maybe because it's. Look, I have a lot of thoughts on this.
yeah.
I also think with the way the public is, I think Mel Gibson should actually think himself very lucky that he didn't do he didn't come out with all the horrible stuff he came out with about 3 years ago. 3, 5,
Yes,
6
he
years
came
ago.
out in a
Because if
time
he
where
it was what? The mid 2000s?
yes, yeah.
Something like that. Where you maybe couldn't have the judge, jury, and executioner that is the Twitter public.
Yeah.
I think Mel Gibson should think himself very lucky
Oh, yes,
that he didn't
definitely.
have that. Because if he did have that, he wouldn't be anywhere. And I
Yeah.
know people say, are people ever truly cancelled? Because all these people that have genuinely done horrific things.
Awful things, yeah.
I mean, awful things, not just being kind of offensively, shoutingly racist, which is what Mel Gibson was.
Yes.
He didn't sexually assault anybody. There is people that have sexually assaulted people who are currently still working.
Yes.
Which, and we all know about this.
Yeah.
But, the public has allowed them to come back to a degree. So it's all a bit weird in my mind, really, when it comes to this sort of situation. I don't, I like the people I like. I don't like the people I like. If people do things to make me not like them, then I'm gonna say, no, I don't really want to deal with you anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm fine doing that. But if they haven't, then they obviously haven't. But I think people get almost too moralist about it. Where, we can never do, you'd never be allowed to do anything ever again. You know what I mean? You'd never be allowed to watch anything ever again. Because,
yes, if you kind of knew how these real people were. I mean, every old Hollywood movie.
The second grip boy on the movie It Takes Two, that's not a movie, but that could be a title of a movie.
It is.
No, it might be a movie.
It's an Olsen Twins movie.
There you go. Okay.
Yes.
So you're never allowed to watch that movie again because the second grip boy had, was a horrible person. He murdered 7 people.
Yeah.
3 years after the movie. So you're never allowed to watch that movie again because he worked on it.
If that were the case, we wouldn't watch any old Hollywood movie ever again.
Exactly.
A lot of those people were deplorable people, racist,
several.
terrible.
They were. They were. You've got the context is so important.
Yes.
I think context is so important, and if you are directly affected by something somebody does, or if you have been directly affected by something similar that some famous people do, then yes, okay. I understand that. I side with you in this. By all means, hate this person. By all means, never go anywhere near.
And if you are watching something with someone who is problematic, it doesn't necessarily mean you're supporting that person or you're doing it in an effort to support that person. So that's kind of where that whole debate comes from.
I know this is heavy at the minute, and I often like to avoid.
And we'll get into this with another.
Oh, we'll get into this with another one as well. We will. Yeah. I often like to avoid this out of ease, and maybe people don't like that because people, might think of, oh, why are you, beating around the bush with topics and things like this. Deal with things head on, state your opinion, but I shouldn't be forced to do anything I don't want to do. Nobody should.
Yeah.
But I have this all the time with, obviously, and it's bigger again at the minute with Harry Potter.
Oh,
right? Yes. I have this all the time. I haven't played the new game. I don't really plan on playing the new game. I think I would like to. I understand
people also, who don't want to. Yeah.
Of course I understand people, but I understand also why I kind of probably shouldn't purchase this game. And I think that is actually going to make me not purchase this game because I understand. And look, I already own Harry Potter things from years ago. I don't really buy any new Harry Potter things, but that's not because I've got some sort of... That's not because I'm taking a morally high stance. That's just because, well, they're already there. I don't need any more. Everything's there.
You've gotten what you need.
Go.
Yes.
Yeah. From years and years ago, before anybody knew anything.
Well, yeah, it's like, with that movie Jeepers Creepers. Like, I've seen it. I enjoyed it in the time it came out, but
you're not going to watch it now.
I'm not going to watch it now, and I don't really need to watch it now. It's not something like I'm so disappointed that I can't watch it again, or I feel like I can't watch it again because the director is a deplorable human being. But it's just one of those things. Like, I don't need to revisit it. It's not something that's held so high in my lexicon of film memory, or such a great film that it's going to diminish, my love of movies if I don't get to watch it. So yeah,
No.
it's very kind of like that.
But in my mind with Harry Potter, I've always said this, my love for the world of Harry Potter does not diminish because of my
Dislike of the create.
dislike,
Yeah,
disdain for its creator. Now, Harry Potter's creator is an unpleasant person, really. She
yeah,
does unpleasant things, she supports unpleasant causes, and apparently also funds these causes thanks to the funds she gets from all the
from
merchandise and
yeah,
stuff. So it is knowing that, being made aware of that has put me off that. But I think you need to know these things. If you don't know these things, then you're gonna just do whatever you want, and you shouldn't be judged for. I don't think you should be judged for playing that game.
yes, or loving things that you loved before things were revealed about the people involved in
Well,
them.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
so
I,
yes,
I,
so
you know,
I mean, I'm intrigued by the idea of a Lethal Weapon 5, especially in this era of the Legacy sequel. Like, while it is kind of the new reboot, I do really enjoy legacy sequels when it's done well. I am a nostalgia junkie, so bringing things back in a new way with characters that you've loved, I think, is a fun thing and can be a fun thing if done right. So, yes, while I can have my opinions about Mel Gibson the person, I do like the idea of a franchise that was really fun and a part of my growing up and also kind of doing it in this vein of love for a beloved filmmaker, um and those aspects of it. So
yeah,
um
yeah.
yes, I can look at that side of this idea of bringing back Lethal Weapon for
I
Lethal
mean,
Weapon 5.
I'm sure I saw someone on Twitter actually, because I think SS Rajamouli, the RRR director,
Hmm.
has cited Mel Gibson as a directorial influence.
Okay.
Um, and someone was calling him, or someone was saying anybody that cites Mel Gibson as a directorial influence is a right-wing nationalist. It's just why?
I wouldn't take it
No,
there. I mean,
why?
him as
Why?
a
Why do we have to
professional,
agree with the individual's beliefs?
him as a professional,
Uh,
him as a creator is separate from,
I
what
also
he
don't think
says
Mel
and what he
Gibson is
does.
a nationalist, is he? I mean,
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know what Mel Gibson's
I
particular
I yeah.
intrinsic political beliefs. I don't really care.
Mm-mm.
I don't care.
I'm interested in the creative aspects of Mel Gibson more than anything else, because that's what I've seen.
Correct.
That's what I grew up watching from him. So, um, yeah, I don't. I
Lethal
that's
Weapon
that's
5,
where
anyway.
that yes, that's where that muddled line kind of comes in. Like, are you supporting the person if you're going to see these things that they're doing or interested in the projects they're working on?
People need to realize that watching a movie or watching a TV show or something like that with a person in it who you may disagree with their beliefs does not mean you all of a sudden agree with
Are
their
okay
beliefs
with all of the things that
or
they've
are okay
done that are
with it.
terrible. Yes.
People need to stop with that
And if
because
you feel
never
that
watch
way and
anything
you
ever
feel
again.
like you can't support a project because of a person, that is 100% you're right.
Of
It's
course.
something that can be understood and make sense to people. I get why you don't want to support this thing, but I don't think it should be a whole like, yeah, if you're going to do it, you're a terrible person too,
Yes,
kind of
it should be
judgment
left
game
to the individual's
to decide
choice
what
and
they
opinion.
feel like they want to see and what they don't want to see. So, yeah, I
Leave
guess
it
with
to the
that,
individual.
we can
Leave
go
it to the
into
individual. Well, yeah,
to
no,
the
I
Flash trailer, which is
we
very
can. I
much
just did want to talk a little bit more about the idea of Lethal Weapon 5.
okay.
Sorry, I know we've been on a tangent.
Yes, no, that's fine.
I just feel it should be left to the individual's
Yeah,
opinion because
I
I
agree.
have my opinions and I know in myself that I'm not a bigot. I'm not a racist. I'm
Yeah,
not, an anti-trans person. You know, I'm not any of these things. It just does. It doesn't. I may enjoy a movie that stars a racist person. I am allowed to do that, and you are also allowed out there to not like that movie for that reason,
Yeah.
if that is your opinion. There are people, and there are movies and things that I will not watch because some people are in it. Kevin Spacey happens to be one of those people. I won't. What I used to adore Kevin Spacey movies
Yeah.
before all that came out years ago. I really did. I'm not going to watch one. I'm not going to watch one. I avoid that. So that is my opinion on that individual instance. And I think everybody has their individual opinions on each individual instance of this kind of thing happening.
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly fair. I don't think we should try and influence anybody
Yes, or
else.
judge anybody for what they choose to do as a film fan.
No.
So
Yeah.
um
If they themselves start to then display that behavior, then you call them out.
yeah.
But when they don't, why call them out on something they haven't done?
Yes, or if they're inherently like, well, no, I'm still a fan of him because I agree with all of the things, all the anti-Semitic things
Yeah.
he,
Then
was ranting about in the
obviously
mid
that's not
2000s. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yes,
You know, I like Mel Gibson because he came out with a load of anti-Semitic comments 15 years ago. That's not an okay thing to
no,
say. But
no,
I like Mel Gibson because he's a great action star, and I enjoy
I grew up
his
watching
movies.
Lethal
I
Weapon. Yes,
really
and
like him.
yeah,
He's a perfectly okay thing to say.
yeah,
And I think that's where I stand with Lethal Weapon 5. I think that's admittedly where I stand with Mel Gibson,
yeah.
because I actually
So,
quite enjoy watching him in movies. I obviously really don't think I would like the individual Mel Gibson. I don't
yeah,
think I would like to meet him in
yeah,
particular.
yes,
I think he'd be quite unlikable.
Mm,
But for the most part, I enjoy him in the movies I've seen him in. And Lethal Weapon's obviously a massive part of his career. But I would
yeah.
also say It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia already made Lethal Weapon 5 and 6, so they don't need to do it, do they? They don't need to do it because it's already actually been done. And
Fair, fair.
does 76-year-old Danny Glover really think he can top Rob McElhenney in unnecessary blackface? In Always Sunny? No, I don't think he can. I don't think he can.
Fair, fair.
That was a joke. Thank you. That was a joke. People are allowed to have fun. People are allowed to
I thought you were gonna
take
say
things
people are allowed to
lightly.
have blackface.
People are not allowed to have blackface. People are not allowed to have blackface.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
No. Obviously.
Yes, yes.
Obviously. You know what? I actually had a conversation about this on holiday, actually, when I was on holiday. And I know we're on a tangent, but we're on these kind of topics now, and they're
Yes.
interesting to talk about. Because I actually brought up Rob McElhenney doing that in Always Sunny. It's just like, that's no different. Context. Context is very important. That is a character thinking it's okay to do that. And that's why it's funny and not offensive.
Yeah.
It's like Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder, yes.
That is a character who think that's a perfectly okay
And
thing
there are
to
characters
do.
there who call him out about how ridiculous that is. So it's
Yes.
yes.
It is when the actor does it through just wanting to do it.
Yeah, it's not like
There's
not
an
like a
issue.
soul man situation.
No, God, no. This is a character. This is somebody playing a character who's doing it.
Yes.
Context.
Yes.
It's different.
So
It's wild.
yes.
They're so important.
No,
So
but I think
important.
I think, we did go on a bit of a tangent, but I think this is a very important conversation to have, especially going into the next topic that we are going to talk about, which is the Flash movie trailer came out.
Yes.
People
Yes.
are, we're excited about this film. And now there's kind of this moral debate around it with Ezra Miller. Um, you know, James Gunn, I think, wants to use this film as with all the, wibbledy wobbledy timey wimey things happening in this movie. It's the
Yeah.
perfect vehicle to present this new universe that he wants to create.
And I think that's
It's
a
a
fair
big,
point. I think it
it's
kind of
yeah,
is.
it's a big, expensive movie that was very deep into completion when all of the things with Ezra Miller kind of came up. So their behavior was not an issue in terms of when the film was made. And so it could be a huge loss if this movie does not get released. So there's all of kind of these business factors that come into play. Um, but now that moral dilemma comes in with all of the things that Ezra Miller has done. Are we supporting this movie? And that whole debate that we just discussed. Ezra Miller is not the sole contributor to this movie. Um,
No,
we have,
but Ezra Miller
other
will put a
elements.
lot of people off this movie
Yes. So
and is putting me off this movie,
yes.
despite all the other stuff in this trailer,
That
which
looks
so good.
amazing. I mean, seeing Michael Keaton again, he is my favorite Batman. Batman
He's
Returns
also
is my favorite
400 years
Batman
old.
movie. He is as well, but he looks great, and the fact that he's
He
coming back
does.
and
He
he is
does.
this older version of Bruce, a Bruce that we love, very exciting. Also, we're gonna have Ben Affleck's Batman in there, so that's gonna be kind of an interesting thing, playing into this story. We're getting this Supergirl character. Um, and I know she got a lot of contention with her casting because she's not blonde and white, and so to get to see her have this opportunity is something that I think people want to see and should support as well. So there are a lot of things in here that are kind of making this film a tug of war for people.
There are.
So
But
I mean, did the trailer look great and get me excited with that kind of pullback of ugh, I wish they were not in this movie. Yes.
that's what it is to me. I've also said this. I'm sure I've said this about Superman before, so I'll say it about Supergirl as well. Superman and Supergirl are aliens, so why do they have to be white Americans? They
Yes,
don't. They can
exactly.
be anything.
Exactly.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It literally is not important to the character. If race is not
No,
important to the character
it
can
can
be
be
any
changed.
race.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um, Supergirl looks Supergirl. I'm excited for this. I don't know very much at all about Supergirl, but I know
No, me
obviously
neither.
James Gunn is going to be doing a Supergirl movie. I also assume, or is it a series? A Supergirl project.
Yes.
I assume it's with her. I assume she's
I
the
would hope so.
Supergirl that they're using.
I would hope
Is it
so.
Sasha Calais or something like that,
Yeah,
her
I think
name?
that's her name. Mhm.
She looks great. She looks great as in this trailer. This trailer is an exciting trailer. I think it's another situation where I kind of wish I wasn't so knowledgeable about this movie's history.
Yeah.
Because this movie should have come out about 5 years ago. And was
Yeah.
actually supposed to come out about 5 years ago. And has been pushed back and chopped and changed and mished and mashed, and Ezra Miller's strangled people and throttled people and beat people up
Thrown
and
chairs and groomed
thrown
people
chairs
and
at
yeah.
people and been generally abusive towards a lot of individuals in the past sort of 4 years. That has obviously put people off wanting this movie, pushed the movie back. The pandemic happened, pushed the movie back. And we've just gone on and on and on since then, to which finally in June we're actually getting this movie. And this trailer doesn't half make it look really, really exciting. This is a really exciting trailer. Like you
Yeah.
said, having Keaton's Batman come in there from his world, and why they had to do it to me play Danny Elfman's Batman for me,
Yes.
because I don't want to see this movie and it's making me want to see this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see this movie for the reasons we brought up just in talking about
Yeah.
all that situation that we've just been talking about. I don't really. I don't like Ezra Miller. I don't like Ezra Miller.
And
I
I mean,
actually,
I don't think that there's really been an official word. Like, I would assume that they would not bring them back for future things. Like, this is kind of the end for them in this
yeah,
DC universe, but they have not outright said that from my knowledge. So, like,
no, I
it's
don't
kind of
think
this
so.
whole thing. Do you really want to show them that they can still make money with this person? You know,
But
is
then again, I think you've got to say that if Ezra Miller, I think the best thing Ezra Miller could do is come out and be genuine about what they've done,
well, I mean, they
and
did
come
give
out
this.
and
They
be
did
no,
give this,
I mean genuine though.
publicity apology type
I don't mean
thing. So,
publicity apology. I mean
yeah.
genuine, not just an apology either. Genuine, publicly presented evidence of I'm bettering myself, and here is a bunch of things that I am
That I'm
actively
doing to
doing
better myself.
to
Yes, and
better myself
that would go a long
for
way.
to help people. That would go a hell of a long way. That would go a hell of a long way. That would
Yeah.
get people to say, okay, you've done some bad things, but you're trying to be
Yeah.
better. The difference with some people is that they do bad things and then they continue to do bad things, J.K. Rowling. You know, you continue
Double
to
down.
support
Yeah.
these nasty anti-trans causes, which is obviously unpleasant. You're doubling down. I don't believe Ezra Miller is doubling down, but I don't know that they're not. And I mean, I don't mean doubling down in the sense of all. I mean, what Ezra Miller's done is just be violent.
Yeah.
They kind of just go around the place and get drunk and throw things at people and
Break into
strangle people
houses
and just
and yeah,
break
terrible
in.
things. Yeah.
And it's unpleasant to come across. It's unpleasant to come across. It's not something that they can't recover from. It's just off-putting to see them. It's just
Yes.
and
So
for them to be the Flash in
yeah,
this The Flash
this
movie.
beloved character, and so yes, definitely, I feel like you said, a genuine kind of acknowledgement of what they've done would go a long way. I think.
It
But
would, and I think that needs to happen before this movie is
yeah.
released.
So I don't know
It
what this press
needs
tour
to.
is even going to look like. I'm
No,
curious. Yeah.
it needs to, because it would get me to want to watch this movie. I need that in order to actually bring myself to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Because this is my individual opinion about this individual instance, like we've been talking about. And there's elements to this movie that I would be devastated if I don't see.
Yeah.
So some people would say, well, just go and see it then. I have my opinion, though. If you want to go and see it, you go and see it. I've not got a
Yeah.
problem with that. That's your choice. You go.
Exactly.
By all
And
means.
yes, I don't think people should kind of fall into judgment for wanting to see
No.
things or wanting to, watch
Because,
things
oh my
that they're
God, do
excited
I not want
about.
to see Michael Keaton come back as Batman and have that
Yes,
Batman theme
we all
playing? Of
do.
course I
Yes,
damn do.
yes. So yeah,
Do I not actually want to see Ben Affleck's
you're
Batman
living. Yeah,
again? I thought we were rid of him years
yes.
ago, but
So
we're
to
not.
see him kind of still be around and doing something like, yeah, I want to see how that plays. So yeah, we're in a very interesting time
Very interesting.
yes. So curious,
Very, very interesting.
curious
But
about this
I
press
can't fault
tour.
this as a trailer,
Yeah,
because this is a good trailer to get you excited for this
yes.
movie. And almost hateably excited for this movie, because
Right?
you're like, I don't want to be
Damn
excited for
it.
this movie, and it's
Yeah.
forcing me to be. I don't like
Yeah.
it, but I kind of do.
Yeah.
And this is the situation we're in. There is
Yeah.
another trailer. There is another trailer we wanted to bring up. This is a slightly, I would say, less problematic
Less
trailer.
controversial. Yeah.
There's no more controversy. No more controversy. No more pure fun. I think on Monday Madness, pure fun and madness from now on. Because Fast and Furious 10. Fast X, such a good
Yes.
title for this movie, by the way, the perfect title for this movie. We're here. We have a full 3-minute 40-second trailer, which tells the entire story of the entire movie.
Yeah, so
And
this villain,
very annoying.
this villain played by Jason Momoa is supposedly going back to 5, which is, 5 to 10.
Five's a good movie. Fast Five, great
Yes.
movie.
So I think that's what they're kind of reaching back to. And there's some connection of Jason Momoa to characters in 5. And so he's back for vengeance
Back in
because in
Rio.
yes, in because of things that happened in the 5th film, in the safe steal and all of that. So that's where
Yeah.
this vendetta now is coming from. We have Rita Moreno, we have Brie Larson, and
The
every
story
conceivable
doesn't
character
matter, though.
kind of coming back.
This is the thing.
Charlize and Statham and him and Han kind of face to face. So like, how is that gonna play?
There's so many
yeah.
things in this trailer that confuse me deeply.
Yes.
The story doesn't matter. This is a Fast and
No.
Furious movie at this point in the Fast and
And
Furious
9
run.
was such a
We do
blur.
not
Like
care.
9 was such a blur. Like I was pretty invested 1 to 8. And then 9 was like pandemic kind of time, just coming out of that. I didn't even go see it in theaters. I bought it streaming to watch. I think I watched it one time while I was doing things and cleaning, so I found
Okay.
myself not really being able to focus or invest in it. So, which is sad because I love this franchise for all its bonkers, ridiculous stuff. So the fact that 9 really couldn't hold my attention, am I super excited for 10? Not as much as I would hope, but um I'm hoping if I kind of do a big rewatch, give 9 a second chance, then maybe I can like get back
I
in
mean,
that spirit of these ridiculous movies.
I enjoyed 9. I just think, obviously at this point, and obviously I'm only still fairly fresh on Fast and Furious anyway,
I
because
mean,
it
yeah,
was
we
an
covered
early
it. Yeah,
it was an
we
early
covered it
Morgan
on the
hasn't
show.
seen series.
Yes, and you
Um,
actually, and I loved that you got invested in it way more than you expected to, because you had
yeah,
this very preconceived, these movies are stupid kind of thing going into it, and then
and
you
they
actually
are.
had, but you had a lot of fun with them, and I loved that. So
The
yes,
the
I'm
the the good thing about Fast and Furious and its stupidity is the fact that it's gradual stupidity. Because it
it took
starts off
itself
as
very
legitimate,
seriously. Yes, it was
very,
very
very
much
legitimate,
Point Break with cars.
and just gradually gets stupid. So it eases you into the stupidity, which is perfect for a franchise of this kind
Kind of
and of this
style. Yeah.
length.
Yeah.
It needs to do that. So 9, taking Ludacris and Tyrese Gibson to space, actually, in
Yeah.
a car with floating things around them, and it's Ludacris and Tyrese
Yeah.
in space in a car, which with a rocket strapped to its back in a
Yeah.
Fast and Furious movie, a movie that started about street racing in LA,
Yeah.
is just nonsense.
Nonsense, and it's the
But
best kind of nonsense.
at this point, you're saying, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, this
Go for
makes
it.
total sense. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
So what the hell 10's gonna do? I don't know. But by the looks of it, Dom Toretto and his stupid car that I really like. It's not a stupid car at all. I really do genuinely like Dom
Love the muscle
Toretto's cars.
cars,
I think
yes.
they're wonderful. I don't like cars really, but I don't
Muscle
know
cars,
anything
if you're gonna
about cars. But
choose.
oh my
Yeah.
god, they're so nice.
Yeah.
Doing some sort of stupid airplane dive and then smashing 2 helicopters together with a car. No, that doesn't work properly. I'm not having it one little bit, but it will happen in this movie, and we'll all be like, yes, this is
Yes.
great. This is
I mean,
perfect.
yeah, I love the idea of bringing everyone back and having this
They
whole
are
kind of
bringing
just
everyone
nonsense
back as
thing.
well.
Helen Mirren, everybody. Brie Larson, what the hell is she doing in this movie? Rita Moreno, where did you come from? So I mean, I think all of that is really fun. I need to watch
I mean,
9 again because I don't know
Rita
why, for
Moreno like
whatever reason.
is Rita Moreno like Grandma Toretto? or something
I
like
think
that,
so. I assume
by the looks
so.
of it.
Yes.
Where's Grandma Toretto been for 10 movies? Why is she here now?
My
Why is
thoughts
she here
exactly.
now?
My thoughts exactly.
And why is Brie Larson here now? But why not have another damn cast member?
Sure.
Because you are bringing everybody back. I mean, I'm intrigued about you mentioned it. Statham, Shaw being back, and actually facing off with Hanu. Of course, we all thought Statham killed, but then didn't, and he was brought back, and that was a
Yeah.
weird thing in 9, wasn't it? I mean, what's gone on there? Was it even in
Yes.
9? Was it in 8? I don't remember
9, Han
anymore.
came back, and that was the big
It
surprise
was
in the
9.
trailers.
Yeah, it was 9.
We even got Bow Wow back in 9.
Oh, we did,
And
didn't
Lucas
we?
Black. Mm-hmm.
Lucas Black. Is Lucas Black going to be in this movie as well? God, please no.
Might be a little surprise.
God, please
We'll
no.
see.
The only significant person who's obviously not back is Dwayne Johnson, but we know why, because he hates Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
And Vin Diesel hates Dwayne Johnson, and it's funny. It's funny.
Yes.
I have to win. No, I have to win. I'm the more manly one here. No, you're not. I am. Oh, for God's sake, sort yourselves out, the both of you. It's
You're both
silly.
bald. It's beautiful. It's fine.
You're both the same person. One's Samoan or Pacific Islander, and one's... I mean, where is Vin Diesel? What's Vin Diesel's ethnicity?
I think he's a mixed race man.
Okay. I don't even know. I didn't want to say anything just in case it was
I believe he's a
wildly inaccurate.
biracial man. Yeah.
Okay. But you both look the same anyway. It's exciting to just have character after character show up in this trailer because you know what this is going to be. This is going to be 2 hours and 2.5 hours
of just bonkers, off the wall nonsense. And yeah, I'm here for it.
And that's all you want from it. Yeah. That's all you want from it. And the fact that it is actually, is this not the last movie they're planning?
That's what they've said. That 10 is going to be the final one. So
how do you end this? Also, was Paul Walker or Paul Walker not in this trailer?
I think they were showing clips from 5. So they were showing flashbacks of 5.
Because I had a little moment where I just thought, they're not actually
I thought
doing
too,
this,
but I think they were just kind of flashing back to 5 to kind of introduce Jason Momoa's character.
I see. I mean, if they did do something like that, could you imagine? I mean, even if for one scene, I could see them doing that. I could see them doing that for one scene. You know, you guaranteed the finale of Fast and Furious 10.
They're going to do something.
If it's the finale,
his brother.
They are 100%. They are going to have one of the stupid little Corona barbecues they have at the Toretto house that's all too small for them now because there's 400 gang members. So they're all sat around that little plastic table outside. Tyrese is doing the barbecue, obviously.
Yes.
Getting sausages everywhere, doing his burgers wrong and overcooking them. Because he'll do something stupid and scream. And then CG Paul Walker's going to show, or Dom Toretto's going to go on the phone. Hey, Brian, you want to come for a barbecue? I don't know why he sounds like Stallone now. But
that was good.
And then Paul Walker, and then CG Paul Walker's going to show up. Because we can do competent CG now. Like, really competent CG. Really, can't we? It's pretty good. The people recreations.
Yeah,
it's terrifying, but it's pretty. It's a hell of a lot better than it was in Fast 7.
Yeah.
You know, at the finale of Fast 7 or Furious 7.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a hell of a lot better than that was, and that looked pretty good.
Yeah. Possible.
I would assume you have to do.
They have to do something to have Brian in there somewhere.
Considering Brian's actually still alive.
Yes.
Just fine. But I'm here for the nonsense, and I am at this point. I'm here for the nonsense.
It looks fun.
I'm here for it all. I just hope Like in 9, actually, because she actually got quite a lot to do in 9, that Natalie Emmanuel continues to get a little
Of
bit to do.
course, because you are in love. Yes, of course.
Because she did actually get, like, a good deal
More to do.
to do in 9.
Yeah.
So I was pleased about that. Let's not forget she's actually still involved. Because I feel like people do. People bring up everybody else.
And not her.
What about
Yeah.
Natalie Emmanuel? I don't forget.
Of course you don't.
For obvious reasons.
Yes.
But yeah, sure. Why not have this entire movie or this entire trailer tell us the entire story of the movie? Momoa as a villain, he can do a job. He can do a job as a villain. I prefer likable Momoa. I prefer kind of boisterous, I'm a big lump kind of Momoa.
Yes.
Rather than I'm gonna tear you up.
Yeah, but I
Momoa.
mean, I'm curious to see it. So
And John
yeah,
Cena's
it's gonna
back
be
as well,
fun.
isn't he? Of course.
Yes, and now he's on the team, so all the villains are
surprise!
just
Every villain that they've acquired throughout the entire franchise
has now
has just been
become
like,
part
oh,
of the
I'm the villain
family.
now. Oh, now I'm part. Now
Now
I'm
I'm
the
in the
villain. Oh,
family.
now I'm
Now I'm
part
in the
of the family.
family. Yeah. So
Yeah, for God's sake, every single time. Sure. I mean, where's Luke Evans? He's not there.
he was in 8. That's coming
He
to
was in
help his
8, but he's not
brother.
in this. He's not in this trailer. Might be in the movie. We don't know.
Yeah.
Might just have a phone call of Statham going, what was his name? What was Luke
Vanessa
Evans'
Kirby,
name?
Shaw, Owen
Shaw
Shaw.
something. Owen Shaw. Owen, do you want to come for this barbecue?
And yeah, what about Sister Vanessa
Yeah.
Kirby? Unless she's just with
I
Rock
forget what
on the
Vanessa
island.
Kirby's. Oh, that's probably
She was their sister.
exactly where Vanessa Kirby is. She's with The Rock,
That
so we're not
awkwardly
allowed.
kissing the Rock.
We're not. Yes, The Rock is a deeply asexual person.
Poor Vanessa Kirby. 2 of the most awkward kisses with the 2 most asexual actors. Like, if you watched her, like, when we do Mission Impossible, you'll see her very awkward kiss with Tom Cruise in a Mission Impossible movie.
Tom Cruise isn't asexual in Top Gun, though, is he?
But like, if you watch
Tom
those love
Cruise.
scenes, they literally skip over like the love scene. Like, they just show them in bed, like having conversation.
No, there's that ridiculous. What in what in Mission Impossible? You're talking about?
No, well, I mean now Tom Cruise now.
Now. Oh, Tom Cruise
Now.
now. Tom
Yes,
Cruise
that's
now.
what I'm saying. Tom Cruise
Not
now.
Tom Cruise now. I'm
In
talking
the
about
most
Tom Cruise's
recent.
unnecessary tongue in Top Gun.
Yes, no, but now Tom Cruise is pretty asexual.
Yes, he is very.
Yes.
That's probably where Vanessa Kirby is. Yeah, so obviously she's not invited to. She took the side. She took
Of The Rock,
Dwayne
yeah.
Johnson's side, so
Yes.
she's not invited to the family
Yes.
barbecue.
No.
Rita Moreno is, though, even
But
though she's
and her
never
mother,
been there
Helen
before.
Mirren, is also invited.
Helen Mirren might be invited because
She's in
Statham
it.
might get on the phone
They
again.
showed her. They showed her
Like,
in the trailer.
Mum, do you want to come to this barbecue?
Yeah.
Bring Owen. He's just, yeah, that's fine. And then they all come, and there's 420 of them instead of 400 of them.
Yes. Need a longer table. But yeah, no, it looks fun, and we'll see if this is actually the real conclusion of this franchise. But yeah,
I think it
crazy.
should be. I think it should be.
I think it's fair. Yes.
Because I think once they went to space, there was no going anywhere else. You know, there was no getting bigger. And they
Yeah.
finally did it last movie.
Yes.
So conclude it now. And let all these people go on to different movies.
Yes.
Just finally, for 22 years, let them do something else.
Yeah.
The one thing I really appreciated about this trailer, though, before we start our Let's Talk, is it actually seems like the climax of this movie is going to be a street race.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what it played up by the end.
I'm thinking, if this is the end, why wouldn't it be? Because obviously Vin Diesel will want this full circle, perfect story of a nonsense that he's created.
I saw this beautiful meme though of like the cars, like just like, okay, you see Vin Diesel in his car, and then Jason Momoa in his car, and then that girl in her car, and then it's Ron Weasley making that scary face
Ah, ah.
in the blue car. So good.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
But no, I like that it's going to be that because that's what the Fast and the
That's what
Furious
the movies
was.
are about. So they need to take it to the streets.
Take it to the
Streets always win.
streets. Take it, this time it's personal.
Yeah. It's
Let's
always personal.
ground it. Let's take it back,
Yeah,
Why
all
not?
of those things.
Why not? I
Yeah.
think they should do that. And look, street racing with cars and talking about cars and being a mechanic and working in a garage is not my favorite parts of the Fast and Furious movies because I don't care about all that. I don't
Yeah.
care about it. I don't know about it. I don't like cars. I have a car. My car's fine. My car's good. I like my car, but I don't know anything about my car. I know the type of car it is, and I know that it drives.
And you
Or
can
I
take
drive
it
it.
somewhere and someone else
I
can
know
do
I
all
can
that other
take it
stuff.
around. Yes, I say, go. You know how to do this, mechanic person. You do it, and I will pay you money to do that. I cannot do that.
Yes.
So this is where the early Fast and Furious movies go over my head. And once we get to 4, because we forget about 3, 4, and on, I'm kind of like, okay, stupidness. And for some reason, street racers are now international terrorists.
Yeah.
Depending on who you ask.
And international spies helping the government.
And international spies.
Yeah.
Is Kurt Russell back, or did he die?
I think he died, maybe?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Don't remember if Kurt Russell died or not in the movie.
Maybe. I'll have to. Well, I'm definitely excited to do a whole big rewatch again. So.
I mean, that's a heavy rewatch, isn't it?
I know,
it's not.
but it's
It's
fun.
very light. It's very
fun.
It's very stupid.
Yes.
But
With
there's
drinks
a lot
and food, and I think it would be a very fun rewatch.
Certainly a lot of it to do on your own. Anyway, Fast and Furious 10, Fast X. Obviously, I'm going to go and see this. I'm probably going to have a lot of fun with this. I can imagine it's going to be ram-packed in that because fast movies always make loads of money because they're just people like craziness that they can just forget about everything and just enjoy and don't think too seriously about.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's good as well. We've talked about some serious topics today.
We
on Monday
did.
Madness, but it's also nice to just not think about serious things.
Yes.
And just have stupidity. That's also really nice.
It's always necessary, I think. Yeah.
Well, Jeannine, let's get into our Let's Talk for today.
Yes.
It is, of course, our full spoiler review of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, the beginning of the MCU's Phase 5.
Yes.
And how do we even start this? I would like to start it with a statement. And my opening statement is everybody's saying this movie just works as a setup movie for future movies. It's the first movie in a new phase. What did you want it to be?
Yeah, that is fair. That is a fair point.
Stop moaning.
Just before we get into spoilers, let's just say general.
Yes.
General. Okay. So did you like this movie?
I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a little chaotic, Jeannine. I thought it was a little a bunch of things randomly going on. I think it wanted to be a movie about kind of revolutionaries and helping
freedom
refugees
fighters
that our Kang the Conqueror had conquered.
Yeah.
It wanted to be a movie about them, but it didn't give itself
kind of story. Yeah,
it didn't give itself enough time to be. It's not a long movie, especially considering some of the other lengths of MCU movies. It's a fairly short MCU movie. It's about 2 hours, just under 2 hours and 5 minutes, I think. Pretty snappy
in terms
for an MCU.
And in terms of kind of what they wanted to do. I feel like I enjoyed this movie as well. I liked the the whole Pym, Lang, Van Dyne clan feeling like a team, feeling like a family.
Yes.
Like, I
And
love
yes, definitely.
Cassie calling Hank grandpa, and, like, that whole kind of,
Yeah.
they really feel like a nice little family unit, and, like, the team up elements that were thrown into this movie once they were in the quantum realm, I loved all of that. I love that, like, there was a focus on ant visuals and ants actually being in the movie and doing something in the movie because it's an Ant-Man movie, and Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't really seem to have a lot of that.
Oh my god,
Um,
this is a significantly better and more memorable movie than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
yes.
Ant-Man and the
And
Wasp is
I think
a
this movie did get
strange thing.
yes. And I think this movie felt like got really excited about the fact that, like, we're finally an Ant-Man movie that have stakes outside of our own movie. So let's have fun with that. But ultimately, I think maybe this whole concept was a little bit too big for what the Ant-Man movies typically do.
Well,
And
I
did
don't
they kind
think
of
it was I
did
don't think it was a typical Ant-Man movie though.
did they kind of shoot themselves in the foot in terms of how they ended it and made kind of the events of the film maybe not matter while the journey was fun to get to the end, did the end kind of result make it feel like everything that we saw didn't really have to
Well,
happen?
the
But
entire
overall,
look,
like, I had fun with the movie.
I did have fun with the vast majority of the
Yes.
movie. Um, there's one deeply annoying element that I just found infuriating.
Yeah.
But that's not a serious thing. That's something I can quite easily look over
Yeah.
in watching this movie again. Should I do that soon? But when this movie is this movie isn't really Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This movie is Kang the movie. This movie is let's introduce Kang. We saw my sign today. There it is, not on that side. There it is. He Who Remains,
Yes.
who was a variant of Kang, obviously, at the end of Loki season 1. Who comes out with the statement, if you think I'm bad, wait till you see my variants. There's this one
Yes.
guy, he doesn't say this, but there's this one guy who's particularly horrible and we had to get rid of him, and it's Kang. This movie's far more interested in being all about him.
Yeah.
And I think it should be, because I think he's absolutely the highlight. Of course he is. He's on a. I think Jonathan Majors himself is
It's so good.
wonderful
Yes.
as this. I think he's really going to take this entire universe by storm as a villainous performance, and as a villain generally, because he's kind of seemingly more dangerous than Thanos, because Thanos was really just kind of one universe focused, wasn't he?
And he had one kind of
He had one
idea
goal.
of what he yes, one goal.
Thanos didn't know anything about different universes. Kang knows everything about every
Every universe
universe.
and wants to destroy every universe,
Apart from the
seemingly.
ones where he's like, I like you, you helped me, I'll save yours, but what about the rest of them, Kang?
Yeah.
You don't need to focus on the rest of them.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the rest of them, but I am worried about the rest of them. I don't want you to kill all these trillions of people, but I have to. I have to do it. And this is his mentality. His mentality is a need thing.
Yeah.
It's who he is. It's a natural thing. But I do think him as a villain and Jonathan Majors bringing this very calm, kind of quiet intimidation to it all
Yeah.
is really something different from a heavy villain performance. Because you
Yeah.
think about the heavy villains in the MCU in the past, the real, multi-movie arc kind of villains, the Lokis. Loki at the beginning was quite grandstanding.
Yeah.
He was quite, he would stand there, he would shout a lot. I am Loki, kneel before
He was also a
Loki,
little
essentially. It was
silly
all,
and funny
yes.
and, yeah.
Even the Hydra people, they're all a bit caricaturist, aren't they? They're all a bit
Yeah.
cartoonish, they're all a bit loud and shouty. Hail Hydra and all this.
Yeah.
Thanos, he's quieter, but he's obviously a huge hulking brute
Very
figure who just
domineering, very
stomps on
intimidating.
people.
Yeah.
Kang's just a normal sized person. He's the same size as everybody else. In fact, at the moment, because he's in the quantum realm, he's absolutely tiny. He's like a subatomic size.
Yeah.
He's so small. But he's infinitely powerful. Just makes you wonder how, shooting webs at him is going to do anything Spider-Man, it's not really
Yeah, probably not.
the Kang Avengers, the Kang dynasty. What are you going to do to him, Shang-Chi, with your martial arts? We like you, you're great, but
Yes.
we had these same arguments about some people and Thanos, and they'd all seem to work in the end there, didn't it?
Yes.
So I'm sure it will at the end of this anyway, but it's far more interested in being his story because
Yeah.
it tells us his origin, it tells us his background, it leads us into it there.
And then it leads us into other versions and
It does eventually
yes.
lead us into other
Yes.
versions. We are going to get into spoilers here.
Yes.
But as the Lang, Pym, Van Dyne family goes, I think it's a really good continuation of their story. I actually think it's kind of two stories in the one movie. They come together nice. It's coherent. It's not messy.
Yeah.
It's a chaotic movie, but it's not a messy movie. It's
Especially in
not all
terms of that
over the place.
family dynamic. Yeah.
No, it's not all over the place in terms of you wondering what's going on. There's just an awful lot going on.
Yeah.
And it's unexpected when you consider what the Ant-Man movies and the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie have been in the past.
They're kind of
Singular.
self-contained kind of things. So now you're bringing them into this bigger picture of building the
Yeah.
MCU. Yeah.
And I think fair play to Ant-Man to get, and the Wasp, fair play to Ant-Man and the Wasp to get their movie, as
Be the
as
one.
such a
Yeah. To be
significant
this
movie, because
bridge.
it
Because
will be a
and
massively
they're kind of
significant movie.
the sillier, kind of fun, non, kind of bigger plot kind of based movies. So to
No,
have these
this is not the deeply serious tone of Wakanda Forever.
no, no, no. So I like that despite kind of their serious role in terms of building this next phase, they still remembered they were an Ant-Man movie and
They
remembered they
did.
had Paul Rudd and had kind of fun, silly comedic beats. That I think mostly worked really well and played really well. So
I would agree. I think for the most part, the comedy really works. I certainly think Paul Rudd and everybody there in the Lang, Pym, Van Dyne family is doing a great job with each other
yeah.
and on a lighter comedic front, feeling like the family that they've grown to be.
Yeah.
I really liked that. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that Peyton Reed has now directed all three of them,
Yes.
of the Ant-Man movies, and he's been able to instill that through line of them as a group, even with obviously Ant-Man, or obviously Scott being gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
And even with all that, he's still instilled this dynamic between all, five of them now.
Yeah.
That is there, and I'm sure will be there going forward. I'm not so sure about any sort of Ant-Man 4. I don't know that that's gonna necessarily happen. Certainly not for
Yeah.
a long while if it does. But these guys will be back, in soonish in the Avengers
Yeah,
movies and
and
things
I
like
I
that.
will say I was a little bit disappointed because it seemed like at the end they were gonna kind of play it, spoilers, that Hank and or not Hank, Scott and Hope were going to maybe be stuck in the quantum realm.
They did,
And I think
yes.
that would have been an interesting thing in terms of them maybe building a life there for a little while until it could be figured out how to get them out. Um, so yeah, I was a little disappointed in that. Another disappointment for me also was that the trailer seemed to play up this aspect of Scott really being tempted at the idea of getting more time back with Cassie, and then that didn't really seem like a plot point that played
Yeah,
into the
that's
story.
a good
That would
point.
have been a really interesting dilemma to see Scott have to kind of deal with and fight with. Um,
Because
the im-
Kang is kind of consistently up to the point we meet him in the movie. He's told to us. I mean, Bill Murray comes in for a scene,
yeah,
doesn't he? And kind of weirdly, he's only kind of in one scene. He
yeah,
not billed like fifth, and you thought, oh, he might like show up again, but he doesn't.
yeah, no,
Um, it's very persuasive. Kang, he's very persuasive person, the
yeah,
conqueror. He gets what he wants. Not out of Scott Lang, he doesn't get what he wants ever,
yeah.
and you almost want Scott to sometimes go over and then have to obviously realize that no, I can't do this and turn back as he obviously, but that's done in the
Yes.
space of 30 seconds rather than maybe
And it's
20
more
minutes of the
about
movie
and
that
it
it could
and
have
it's
been.
more about it's because I will hurt your daughter. It's not, the very
Yeah,
generic I will hurt your daughter if you don't do what I need you to do. But I would have liked it more to be about like what the trailers kind of sold as, this could be, you getting more time back. You've lost so much time. You were in jail, you were blipped, you were stuck in this time vortex,
yeah.
and you lost all this time with her. So I
He
wish
was
we would
actually
have
the only one that wasn't blipped.
right? Yeah. So I would have loved to see him really struggle with the idea of getting more time with Cassie and that kind of be his driving force to
Yeah.
potentially help Kang and that be the deal as opposed to I'll get this but let Cassie go. More
Again, I
generic.
think I think something like that could be resolved with just giving the movie a little bit more time,
Yeah.
which it did feel like a snappy movie. It did
Yeah.
feel like a little bit of a quick movie, and I know that's a strange thing to say for a movie that's still over 2 hours, but
But in
I
terms of
felt
MCU films, yeah.
in terms of MCU films, it did feel brisk,
Yeah.
and I I like to sit with some things sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think there was elements to this movie that you could have done. That being one of them, and like I said, this kind of refugee revolutionary type angle they were going for a little bit with some beings in the quantum realm being conquered by Kang and taking
Yeah.
their home back is very surface level
Yeah.
kind of played rather than, and it could have gone deeper. It didn't need to, but
Yeah, I
let's
mean, I
have a bit
think
of interest in there and make it do.
yeah, because I mean, I think then at a certain point, it feels like their only reason to be kind of introduced is to have more bodies to kind
Yeah,
of
it
help by
does.
the end.
Back up by in the final fight, which is
Yeah,
essentially what they turn out as.
yeah,
Um, it was quite fun actually in the credits because I didn't realize this. David Dasmalchian played that
yes.
little
Was that
weebly figure,
goo thing? Yeah,
the goo thing, because he
yes,
was in Ant-Man, wasn't he? As
yes. So
that
since
one
we don't
particular
get
credit.
the typical team of his kind of burglar
Yeah,
team, his ex-con team, yeah, they brought him
you
in for that.
did it, which was nice. I
Yeah,
I, I like that, and I didn't realize that. Um, I did want to bring up an annoying element to this movie,
yes.
and I obviously don't know anything about this particular character.
Me neither. I don't know much
I,
about it,
I,
but
I don't know if this is accurate, but I really hope it's not because I found MODOK in this movie to be kind of grating.
yeah, a little bit. A little
I don't
bit.
know why. I don't think it was anything Corey Stoll was
No, I
doing
mean, I liked that
necessarily.
this was a plausible way to bring back that character, and it made sense to what the movie and the continuities set up. But yeah, he was a little. I think they brought him in to kind of be this comedic foil, and I think the Modoc character is a little bit ridiculous like that, and a bit of kind of a comedic foil in the comics. But I don't know too much to
Okay.
really speak on that. So, I
See, I
mean,
didn't. I assumed this must be just assumption. Then this must be what I just assumed, and maybe it's me just being wrong. I just assumed that something called what was it, mechanism only designed only for killing or some whatever it is.
yeah,
It's an acronym is MODOK.
yeah.
Would just be a kind of evil, kind of gremlin type creature who was in this suit, that flew around and just killed people, rather than being this deeply unsettling, stretched face that looks like it's from early Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who.
Well, I mean, yes, that's what it kind of looks like in the comics. It is kind of this big head with these little dangly
Yeah, but is it
limbs type thing.
stretched though like that? Why
Well, I
can't it
think
be
it's
like normal
well,
proportions?
I think it's Corey Stoll's face, and it is kind of a stretched, weird kind of face like that. So, I mean, if you
Well,
look at
that's not what
pictures of
Corey
MODOK,
Stoll looks like. I don't even think that's what MODOK looks like in
I
the
mean,
comic books. I don't think his face is stretched. It looks in proportion. This looks like they've taken somebody's face, Corey
and just
Stoll's
stretched it
face,
to kind of
and
fill that.
stretched it on Microsoft Word. It looks weird. It looks like when you do that and you take the corner of the little image box
And
and you
just
just
stretch it.
widen it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little weirdly
That
stretched. Because I think they were trying to fit like these cartoonish proportions of the character of the actual comic book character
yeah,
using kind of
the
Corey
big
Stoll's
eyes and
face
things like
and
that.
that, and it just did look weird and kind of unproportioned and stretched weird. But
But also,
so
why does he have to be so annoying? Why does he have to be so
again, I think it was
annoying?
just to play to a comedic aspect of the film. So
We didn't need that though. We had Paul Rudd,
yeah,
one of the great consistent comedic actors of the last 20 years.
yes,
Paul Rudd, here he is. He's here.
yeah.
Not Corey Stoll. Not stretched face Corey Stoll.
I
Like I said,
liked them
I don't
finding a
think
way
it's
to bring
him.
him
I
back,
don't think I've got an issue
but
with Corey Stoll. I think I've got an issue with
the look of
what
it
they
is
decided to do with this creature or robot or whatever the hell he's supposed
yeah.
to be. Mechanism. I don't think I like Modok. I'm
That's
glad he's
fair.
dead.
That's fair. That is fair. Um,
Sorry, spoil. We did say
we
spoilers.
did say spoilers.
Stop it, people. Stop
I didn't
being.
hate it, but like I could have also done without it. So I was kind of
But it's just when
indifferent
you
to
have
to Modoc.
when you have Kang and what Jonathan Majors is doing there. I like one scene where Modok acts as kind of a lackey to Kang, almost, isn't he?
Yes.
And he's like, there's one scene where Kang says,
Like don't
"Oh,
talk
Modok
while I'm in
interrupts
my
something like
presence.
that."
Yeah.
Yes, it's like, do not speak when
When
I
I'm
am
in the
in
room.
the room.
Yeah.
And yet, and I was going to be like, oh, okay, this is what they're doing with Modok. If they're making him like a weasel kind of creature who's
Then
always there in people's ears going like a gremlin, then I get that. But they don't make him a gremlin.
they
They make
don't
him this
yeah.
kind of loud, I'm gonna get you, Cassie type
Yeah.
being, chasing Cassie Lang around for the most part,
And
going,
then he's
I
talking about
once
how he's not
nearly
Darren
killed you
anymore,
when
but
you were
yet
6.
but then he's still referring to things that happened to him when he was Darren, you know?
Exactly. He refuses to be called Darren, but does remember and references things from when he was Darren, and then gets
Yeah.
really petty about people calling him Darren up until he really likes being called Darren because
Yeah.
people tell him once, "You're Darren, Darren. You're not Modok. What's this? Who have
Yeah,
you
don't be a
become?" And he's
dick.
just
Just
like,
don't be a dick,
"I
you
don't
know?
know who I've become. I'm Darren now." And then he sacrifices himself, and it's just all a bit. I
Much.
don't need it.
Yeah.
It's just all a bit. Not that it's all a bit much, but it's all a bit. Where's the depth? There's
Yeah.
none.
It seems very rushed and convoluted a little bit.
There's
Yeah.
none.
Yeah,
It,
that's fair.
and I think the rest of the movie, there is some of it. I like I said, the family stuff with Lang Pim Van Dyne. There's depth to it, particularly with Janet.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michelle Pfeiffer, I think, is doing great. I obviously really like Michael Douglas as Hank Pym because he's weird. He's just, I don't want to put my hands in these goo things, and he puts his hands in those goo steering things, and he's just like, I don't like it.
Ugh.
But he loves the ants. He'll do anything
Yes.
for the ants.
Yeah.
And you know, Scott and Hope and Cassie have a great dynamic as well. And I think the new, you know, I forget her name now, the new girl playing Cassie, who
Oh, what's her
is
name?
the third person to play Cassie Lang now.
Yes.
And it was unfortunate for the poor person who played Cassie in
Yeah.
Endgame for that one scene, who didn't get to come back for this. But you can't fault, you know, her in this movie for not being that other girl.
Yeah.
You know, it's not her fault she got this job.
Yes.
You know, she's just doing her job, and she does it really quite well. I like Cassie, and Cassie's obviously going to be part of your whole younger Avengers.
Yes, which is why I thought something would happen with Hope and Scott getting stuck in the quantum
That's
realm, so that would
point,
play into
yes.
her having to kind of step up while they figured out how to get them back. Catherine
Scott
Newton.
has to write more
Catherine Newton.
books.
Yeah.
Catherine Newton.
Yeah.
Scott has to write more books and do more podcasts and all such things. I like how they constantly make jokes about him being a sellout as well. Really, he does make it out like he was the main one to take down Thanos as well, doesn't he?
I mean, well, he was the one who came up with the whole time heist kind of thing.
He was, but he wasn't.
He was
Iron Man.
instrumental.
He wasn't the one who
He
snapped back Thanos, was he? No,
He was
that was
instrumental,
Tony.
but he was instrumental in them even having a
He was
plan. So
instrumental. He was definitely instrumental, but like so was everybody.
look out for the
To
little
a
guy.
degree. Look out for the little guy. I almost there was that particularly violent beatdown actually that Kang gives to Scott.
Oh yeah.
Which just really kind of brutal. And you really do think, I mean, and you know it's not going to happen because it's an MCU movie, but you really do think like Scott's in serious trouble here.
He's stepping on his face. They
Yeah.
made a point to pull out one of Jonathan Major's big ass arms so you could see
Oh, they did that. I said like Jonathan Majors hasn't got in shape for this movie. It's for Creed 3, but like they made a point of showing it in this movie as well.
Yes.
Like maybe he did get in shape a little bit for this movie as well.
I liked getting to see Scott have this kind of hand-to-hand type of fight. I liked getting to see him be angry, so when he's a giant man and he's stepping on things and coming for Kang and shouting, because we don't see Paul Rudd get to be really serious, so I liked him being, serious action person. Like, I loved that. Also loved like I said, I did like the ant kind of visual, so I loved the different, the possibilities, of, all the different Scots kind of, and then they kind of all got on board when they realized we have to do this for Cassie, and then they were all in agreement.
Teamwork.
Yes,
very ant-like.
Yes, and just the visuals of it looking like ants, kind of building a thing. Yeah. So I loved that.
One thing I was going to say about that particularly brutal fight that I really did. I enjoyed for its nastiness, really, was I was absolutely convinced he was going to come out with, I could do this all day.
Yes. So I was watching Dan Murrell's review.
He didn't.
I was watching Dan Murrell's review, and he said he would have loved to see him say that. But I feel like because they said, they used that in Doctor Strange with Peggy. With Peggy. Peggy's Captain America said it. So I feel like that's where they used it, and they probably felt like it would have been overkill to use it again. But I agree. Yeah, yes.
But Scott loves Steve.
Yes.
So much Scott loves Steve.
Yeah.
Sam Wilson better be using it. If Sam Wilson doesn't start using it, I'm going to be really annoyed.
I know.
You need
So
somebody
yes,
needs to
because they
use
used it with Peggy and Doctor Strange, I think they felt like they couldn't do it again. But
Fair point. But
yeah,
the legacy of Steve Rogers must live on in more people, not just
yes,
Sam.
yeah,
Not just Sam, more
agreed.
and Bucky,
Yeah,
more people. All the people that loved Steve, like Scott,
yes, like Scott.
like
Yeah,
me. Um, I was convinced he was going to pull it out because it's such a
so
right scene
perfect,
to do it
right?
as well.
Yeah,
It reminded me, there were stances of Paul Rudd just
just
really
like
hobbling, just
kept
with his
getting up.
fists up
Yeah,
going like that.
yeah.
I was waiting for it, and I would have gone, yes, this is good. Yes, we like this.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed the movie. It's getting unnecessary dislike, I think.
Yes, like I don't understand. Like I think it has a
It's not.
lower tomato meter score than Thor: Love and Thunder, which I just had a very
I mean,
rough time with.
look. I enjoyed that movie. I do actually think that movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, is a little bit messy in
It
terms of
is.
what it's trying to be and what it wants to be. Like the tonal imbalance of Thor: Love and Thunder is stark.
Yeah.
Like, do you want Christian Bale's gore as a horror villain, and obviously Jane's cancer and her becoming the mighty Thor as serious plot? Do you want that to be a movie, or do you
Or
want
do you
another
want to
silly
just be
Thor
silly?
movie?
Yes. Or do you just want to
Because
be
you had a
jokey
silly Thor
jokey?
movie last time, it worked. Your silly Thor movie in Ragnarok worked really well because everything was a little bit silly.
This
You even had your massive serious moment in Ragnarok. Massive serious moment.
yeah.
But it didn't feel imbalanced. Love and Thunder really did.
All over the place. Yeah.
And I enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed a lot about that movie, but I can see that. And this movie is not messy in that way,
No.
in the slightest.
I
This
think it has
movie
a
is
clear
just
direction. There's clear setup things and it makes sense. While there was a lot going on, it still all makes sense. It's all very
yeah.
coherent.
It's just that's what this movie is, and I think that's what people maybe aren't liking about it, is that it isn't a. I mean, we've said this for God knows how many years now. It's not a standalone movie.
No.
You can't come into Ant-Man and the Wasp:
And
Quantumania
think it's going
not
to be its
knowing
own thing like
previous
the other
and
two.
not wanting to see what comes after.
Yes.
You can't. It
I would
doesn't
like,
work in that way.
yes.
It's
So while,
Kang, the origin is what it should be
yes, to get
called.
ready for this Kang Dynasty movie. While they did in the mid credits did kind of say that
Oh
Kang
yes,
is
let's talk
dead.
about these.
I would like to think that maybe he's not. Maybe he did survive in some way and he will be back even more
I mean, what
vengeful.
happened to him? He was sucked into some sort of hole.
Yes. So I would like to think that he's still alive and he's now stewing
Where?
even more. I don't know.
Where
I
could he
don't know.
possibly be? He's already in the entire movie takes place in the quantum realm. He's already in the quantum realm, and he seems to get sucked into some sort of quantum realm.
I
I
mean,
don't even know where he ends up going. How does he even end up being
I don't know.
sucked into that
But
energy
they somehow
source?
know that he's dead in the end credits, and so now they're getting the council together to figure out their next move.
Yes, and this is the mid credits, isn't it? This is
Yes.
the other Kang, or the Kang variants.
Yes.
So I was actually quite surprised we didn't see a direct cameo from He Who Remains himself, because
He
I think it would
got
have.
killed.
Oh, he did. Did he?
Yes.
Well, time
Sylvie
is a.
killed him.
Sylvie kill him. I'm
At the end of
misremembering.
Loki, she killed him. Yes.
Well, okay then. Let me give you this one. I forgot that. Time is not linear, is what Kang says. Time isn't the same for me. So why can't they just go like 5 minutes before and just grab him and just say, there, come on, He Who Remains?
because they don't want him. He's trying to keep order, and I don't think they want order, right?
They're getting all of them. They're getting all the Kangs
Yes.
together, all the variants.
But I don't think they want
These
the ones that want any kind of
They
order.
want the chaos ones.
They
Don't
want
they?
chaos.
They want the chaos ones.
Yes.
They look pretty chaos ones, to be fair. There's a bunch of just
Well, I saw people
mad
talking
looking
about they
Jonathan
felt like this
Majors.
scene felt very cartoonish. It felt very much like a skit. It felt like Jonathan Majors just in costume.
It did feel like Jonathan Majors in costume, but that's because it was Jonathan Majors in costume. That's why it felt like that. What's the
And it
problem
was just
with
a
that?
bit of
That's
a
what
bummer
we're
because
going
now
for.
we've had 2 versions of Kang that were really interesting, that were really worth investing in, just for them to both be dispatched, and now we're starting over again.
Now, but I'd like to point out at the very end of the end credits, it does say Kang will return.
Yes.
Now, there's only one Kang, technically. There's only one Kang. And that's Kang.
Yes, and that one is like, that is the one in the costume, in the outfit that is like comic accurate and everything. And I don't
Yeah.
think I saw any other Kangs really dressed like that, which is why I have this idea of him
Kang from this
potentially, yes, finding a way to come back, and he will be even more vengeful, for, not just against Ant-Man, but against all these Kangs who have banished him.
Yeah, and if not, what they're going to do, because time isn't linear, they're just going to go back and before he was and just take him again, because we do that now. We do that now in the MCU. That's a
but their
reasonable
fear
thing to
is
do
that
now.
humans are getting more close to multi-universe type
Of course they are.
things. So that's kind of their big fear.
Yeah.
And then we get into another variant at the end, in the end credit scene,
I
with a
like
clip
this. I want
from
the entirety of Loki season 2 to be this. I want the entirety of Loki season 2 to be in like set in 1890. That this looks like it's set in.
Yeah.
And for it to be traveling showman.
Yes.
And a variant of Kang happens to be a magical traveling showman.
Yes.
And Loki and Owen Wilson are there. And he's saying, that's him.
Yeah, that's not, and he doesn't look that intimidating or scary. Yeah.
And Loki's like, shut up, Owen Wilson.
No,
yes, he does. He's definitely him. We don't want to mess with him. He is the worst. Yeah. And that's Loki season 2, which is now. Well, we should talk about this actually, shouldn't we? I suppose. I know we're at the end of the show, but let's briefly touch on the fact that the MCU has actually changed some things around.
Oh yeah,
slate-wise.
Yes, some release things.
So what we've got now is, I think there's only 2 definite TV series this year. One of them being Loki season 2.
Yeah.
For some reason, I forget what the other one is now.
Secret
Invasion.
Secret Invasion. Mm-hmm.
And the Marvels pushed to November.
Yes.
They're stretching it out again. They're taking their time with things again. They're not rushing things. This is a good thing.
Yeah.
This is positivity. They are taking their time with things again. Which is only a good thing. You were fearing, with there being so much crammed into such a short amount of time, that it would just be bombardment after bombardment and bang, 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 here's an MCU thing every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's far too much. This feels good again.
Yes, I like
this
that.
feels good again. And I like that about it. Not a big thing to, talk a lot about, but just say I like that they've done that. But obviously we're getting Loki season 2 coming up pretty soon, of which we're going to get more majors.
Yes, he's on a high right now, so
he's on a ridiculous high. I mean,
I'll take more majors.
He's also a frighteningly handsome gentleman.
Yes.
Because
my sister
he's clearly
tell
about
me
6
he's not
foot 8
attractive,
as well.
and I'm just like,
no, he is. You can't fault me. He is.
Yes.
He's actually, I would go as far as to say, the most attractive person in this entire movie. Probably is, really. As far as
mean,
I'm concerned, I mean, I'm not.
Paul Rudd, his whole kind of ageless man situation.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle
You can't
Pfeiffer
fault
looks great
Michelle
too.
Pfeiffer. You can't fault Michelle Pfeiffer, to be fair. I mean, I'm not obviously sexually attracted to Jonathan Majors. I'm just saying.
You can appreciate an attractive man.
Well, exactly. This is the point. Yeah, that's the point. Anyway, yes, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Jeannine. A good way of starting Phase 5 of the MCU.
I think
in
so.
all its
I
Kangness.
don't get people really just having huge problems with it. I enjoy
No,
it. I
there's
do
no.
feel like, again, there's this weird, you just kind of how it ended. Did it feel like any of the events really mattered? But I still enjoyed the journey to get there.
But you
You
could
know?
say that about anything now, couldn't you? Really, because I would say you're only thinking that because the mid-credit scene is all these variants.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh
Already,
well, if
like,
there's one, there's like 80,000 more.
yeah.
Yes. But you could say that with anything. You could have said that with Wakanda Forever. It's like, if there's T'Challa, well, why not get the other T'Challa? I know
Well,
that's
see, because
obviously
the thing
a
is,
situation because Chadwick's obviously not with us, but in world, is that not the same idea?
yeah. But I mean, I saw John Drew talking about like one line of dialogue would have made it make more sense. Like the fact that the Kangs want to assemble to kind of go forward with some type of human Earth stopping plan is because humans got so close to destroying one of them. Like if they can destroy one of our strongest Kangs, a Kang that we had to banish, exile, then that could really kind of put us in danger. We really need to stop them. So maybe that be the impetus for them kind of gathering rather than multiversal hopping, because in the end they're kind of mostly mortal kind of humans. What huge kind of how could a Kang not stop them from any kind of multiversal stuff that they could cause? So yes, like I kind of like that I think it would have made more sense to make it like, if Ant-Man can destroy one of our strongest Kangs, and on top of all the multiversal meddling that they could do, I think we need to now intervene. I feel like that would have made more sense, as opposed to, I think they're meddling in the multiverse, we need to stop them.
I mean, but maybe, I guess so. But I think you have to trust where they're going with the Kang story. And Kang, the character, in his ridiculous power, has obviously been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And, they've found reasonable ways of making him ridiculously powerful, but also obviously defeatable because he's a villain, and that's going to be what happens.
Yeah.
So you just got to have faith that they're going to bring that into obviously the movies.
Yes. So I mean,
I think they will.
I enjoyed the movie. I liked I think the core family dynamic and them kind of teaming up saved this movie for me in a lot of ways and made me really just invested in where this journey was going to take them. I liked having this quantum realm location and kind of having these weird things to look at and see. I agree with you with the kind of refugee freedom fighters plotline not getting enough time to really kind of invest us in that, and really just felt like, okay, we just need these disposable characters to make this, to help us kind of defeat Kang in the end.
I do like how William Jackson Harper was in there as that telepath.
Yes, yeah.
Because I like him.
He's great, yes. So, yeah, I mean,
well for me.
if they were going to work that in,
so bring him back.
Yeah, right. So if they were going to work that in there, give that a little bit more time, especially if you are an MCU film running on the shorter end time wise, you could have given that more time. So, yeah, but overall, I enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I love these characters, so getting to see them kind of all work together to defeat this bigger thing, and this movie having a little bit more stakes than a normal Ant-Man movie, but still remembering it's an Ant-Man movie and having the comedy and the ant elements, because Ant-Man and the Wasp literally had no kind of ant things. So
it's a bland, forgettable movie, and it's a shame.
Yes. So Yeah, I mean, I had fun overall with this movie. Definitely, there were some things they could have improved on and could have done better. Um, but overall, I enjoyed it. So
Yeah. Lastly, about Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second one. What always will kill that off for people was it came out right after Infinity War,
yeah,
like 2 months after,
yeah,
which didn't help what people thought about that movie,
yeah.
because Infinity War is a great movie.
And the fact that, like, okay, we had this ghost character who was going to get to kind of come back, and then they
And she
just
has,
they literally just kicked her out.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Jeannine, let's finish this
All
episode,
right.
as we always like to, with a little bit of fun and games, because we have one of our nice Who Am I descriptor type games today
Yes.
on MCU villains, because obviously we have a new, pretty big, significant one, thanks to this movie,
Yes.
who will return in his pure form and won't be just somebody else, like the one guy who was dressed looking like some sort of ancient Central African civilization person. Who was he?
I
I want to see
don't
that
know.
guy,
That guy. Yeah, no, I don't know.
because he was talking like that as well. He
Right?
wasn't talking like the
Yes.
rest of them. He was talking like some sort of ancient, rich Ethiopian. And
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by this person. I'm
We
intrigued. He
will
had like
see.
yellow eyes as well.
We will hopefully see down the line.
Yeah. Anyway, we have a pretty big new MCU villain, so we wanted to have a little bit of fun and games with
Yes.
some previous MCU villains. Jeannine, we have three descriptors
We
each.
do.
I've taken the earlier 21 products from the MCU. You have taken the latest 21, of which you'd be surprised to hear that the 21st product from the MCU is Captain Marvel. Now that just
Yeah.
shows you that 21 movies were fit between Iron Man 2008 and Captain Marvel.
Yes, that's a lot.
And since then, there has
We
been
still
the
had
same
another
amount.
21 movies. It's crazy.
21 products. Now this also
Oh,
includes
and
things like
shows.
Werewolf by Night and things like this that are
Yes, and all
one-off
the
things,
shows. Yes.
and all the shows. But would you like to go first, Jeannine, or would you like to ask first?
I would like to go first, as usual.
You'd like to go first. Okay.
I've had a glass of wine, so my brain will probably not be functioning
Okay.
properly, but let's go.
I am somewhat of a wizard whose actor has played an evil wizard in another franchise altogether, as well as generally villainous characters in a few other big-name movies too. Pretty well known for it, it seems. I got angry with my bald-headed boss and really didn't like the new guy. He was too arrogant. Who am I?
Ooh, my bald-headed boss. Wizard. Wizard.
I am somewhat of a wizard.
Got angry with my bald-headed boss.
I really didn't like the new guy because he was too arrogant.
Oh.
Oh.
Chiwetel Ejiofor. What's his name?
No.
Oh.
No.
What?
The other one.
The other
It's
one.
another one. Is not that's not in the person, the other one.
Oh, what's his face? Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes, what's his name?
I don't remember his name. Crackly eyes, man.
Crackly eyes, I'll give you it, yes. It's Caecilius.
Caecilius, yes.
Mads Mikkelsen from Doctor Strange.
Yes,
Yay.
yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My power comes from my pain. While you saw very little of my namesake in my movie, I still made for a menacing, faithless villain.
Faithless?
Yes.
Or faceless?
Faithless.
A faithless villain. You saw very little of my namesake in my movie. Ooh. Say it again.
My power comes from my pain. While you saw very little of my namesake in my movie, I still made for a menacing, faithless villain.
Something religious. Recent. Oh, I've got to think of a recent. It could be anything. Power from pain. That's got to be significant.
I thought this would be the easiest one.
Oh, it's Gore.
Yes.
It's Gore the God Butcher.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. No one even knew I was evil for a really long time. Secrets are fun, especially when I fooled these apparently super clever people. My actor is reasonably good looking. I must have been so disappointed that his character ended up being outwitted and beaten by a walking flag and his best friend.
Walking flag. What?
I will repeat. No one even knew I was evil for a really long time. Secrets are fun, especially when I fooled these apparently super clever people. My actor was reasonably good looking and must have been so disappointed his character ended up being outwitted and beaten by a walking flag and his best friend.
Walking flag.
I was quite pleased with this one, actually.
Yeah, I know. You sound very pleased with yourself.
I just like pretending to be these people that we do for these descriptor games. I get into character.
I know. Walking flag and his best friend. Good looking. Was seen as a good guy for a long time.
No one even knew I was evil for a really long time. Ooh. I actually did think you would get this one, but I was pleased with it. I will be surprised. Ooh.
I don't know. Crossbones?
I mean, you're not a million miles away.
I would have said Jasper Sitwell, but he's not particularly
Would you like the answer?
good looking. Yes.
Alexander Pierce. Robert Redford. Robert Redford was really good looking.
Yes. That's a good one.
Notice how I used. I didn't use my actor is reasonably good looking because
Was
Robert Redford. He was at one point. Alexander Pierce. Outwitted and beaten by a walking flag and his best friend.
Yes, walking flag.
Captain America.
And
Falcon.
Yes.
Yes.
You thought you met me twice before, but those were just imposters. But I finally get to make my true fruitful introduction.
I feel like fruitful is an important word here. Two imposters. Does imposters fruitful? Imposters. You thought you'd met me twice before. In a recent MCU. Oh. No. Something to do with scrolls. They're imposter people. They pretend to be people. I don't know. Fruitful. Is fruitful a keyword?
Maybe.
Oh, I think fruitful is a keyword. Something to do with apples. No.
Apples.
Apples are fruit.
Yes.
I don't know. Trying to think. There's probably been too many
Did
things
you
that I've
give up?
forgotten about. Yeah. Yeah.
The Mandarin.
Mandarin.
Shang-Chi.
Yes, the actual Mandarin, who I don't
Yes.
even think of as the Mandarin because he's just Wenwu.
Yes.
It's
The
Tony
fruitful.
Leung.
And he makes fun of the
Fruitful.
fact that, like, they...
Fruitful. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I call him by his real name, not the
Yes.
Mandarin. So
That is fair. That is fair.
shh. Anyway.
But you didn't call him anything because you got it wrong.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much for that. Okay. I actually caused a serious amount of destruction. Permanent destruction of a whole world and an awful lot of death. Sure, yeah, I'm a demon, and yes, it was all prophesized, but still, I think I might be the MCU villain who caused the most amount of permanent damage. At least until this new Conqueror guy showed up. Suck it, Thanos. This character definitely wouldn't say suck it, Thanos either.
Is it the thing from Ragnarok? God.
Yes, I would like a name, please.
No.
It is the thing from Ragnarok, yes. It is, but what's his name? Who was he voiced by, at least?
I don't remember.
If you tell me that, I'll give it you.
I don't remember. Ray Winstone.
No. Describe this.
It's like a
person.
big bull-looking thing. It destroyed
A big bull-looking thing.
Yes.
What's significant about this creature?
What do you mean? What's significant about it?
What does he look like? Not just a bull. What does he look like? What does he give off?
Fire, flames.
Fire. Yeah. Okay. Fire.
Yes.
Fire. But yeah, he's called Surtur.
Surtur. Okay.
He
See,
was
I would
voiced
have
by
remembered
Surtur.
that.
He was voiced by Clancy Brown.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for giving me these
Surtur,
sad
yes.
passes.
Yes.
Okay.
Sad passes for Jeannine. Nobody wins because I've given you sad passes.
No, I get it.
You don't get to win.
You knew who I was talking about. You may think me a lesser version of one that came before, but I'm the true genius, and with this crew, I'm virtually unstoppable.
Oh. He's got a crew. A lesser version of one that came before. A lesser version of one that came before. I've got a crew. A crew virtually impossible. Impossible, did you say?
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Is he a computer? He's an android. No, that's too old. I was going to say Arnim Zola. But it's not Arnim Zola. It was someone from a television show.
Are you asking for clues?
Yes.
No.
Not from a television show.
Since you gave me sad passes, I'll give you yes or no.
Not from a television. Some from
I did
a
have
movie.
some. You know I like keywords.
Oh.
You know I like the keywords.
Crew? Is he Taskmaster?
No, I thought crew. I had 2 keywords in there.
Virtually. I thought Taskmaster was like a robot woman.
No, there's a person in there.
I know there was a really dehumanized person. I mean, come on.
Okay, well, was that your answer?
Yeah.
No. The keywords were crew and virtually.
Yes. But I thought they were.
Mysterio.
Why is Mysterio virtually crew? What's that about?
What does he use? Virtual reality kind of things and
Oh, I thought it was
illusions.
magic.
No, he uses cameras and fake
No, I
virtual
didn't remember that. I thought it was
images.
magic.
You really thought you need a refresh. I
Oh,
need a
of
refresh
course
to
it
get the
was.
names and
Of course.
crew because he technically has like a movie crew helping him do all of the things.
Yes, he does, doesn't he? Uses cameras. Of course he does, because they destroy the film. Oh God,
Yes.
it's the whole
He has like a
situation. They fail. That's how
screenwriter, and that's
Peter.
like the
That's how
brilliance of
everybody
him
knows who
because
Peter is.
yes, lesser version of Tony Stark, but he's the real genius.
Mysterio. I do like Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio. Actually,
He's
as well.
great.
It's a
So
good
technically, with
villain.
my shitty descriptive answers, I
Okay.
win.
Okay. Whatever. Well, there we go, Jeannine, for this week's return episode of Monday Madness. It is, of course, not the only show we have on this podcast feed, nor is it the only thing we have on this YouTube channel, the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. If you have been watching along, because we also have reviews on here, we have my movie collection on here, we have some watch-alongs on here. We're also planning to do a couple more watch-alongs pretty soon, because as you will have noticed, there's a lot of Scream content on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel at the moment, coming from Jeannine. We plan on doing a couple of watch-alongs, at least one watch-along, certainly.
Yes.
Hopefully two,
Something Scream
before the
related.
release of Screamer 6. Like I said, my movie collection videos, there are shorts on this channel. Subscribe, ding the notification bells here on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel if you would like to do that. There'll be plenty more coming from the both of us on this channel as well. And on the podcast feed, if you are just listening to this show, you can find this show now returning consistently every Monday on Mondays. That's Monday Madness. Monday. That's the point.
Monday.
What's that from? I've always heard that. I don't even know what
It's
it's
like
from. Is it from like
Monster
wrestling?
Trucks. It's like
No, it's
Monster
Trucks. Wrestling
It's like,
Monster Trucks. They're all the same.
Sunday. Yeah, Monster Truck commercials.
They're all the same group of people.
For you, yes.
They are.
You British.
Morgan hasn't seen every Wednesday, and It's a Wonderful Podcast every Friday that I mentioned before celebrated its 250th episode on Friday. Please go and check that out. Look back on over 5 years of It's a Wonderful Podcast with us. It's a massive episode. It's a super fun episode. It's just showing all our favourites and silly things and awards and things like that. It's exciting. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have you covered on the It's a Wonderful Podcast feed on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Amazon Music, and everywhere else. Subscribe to the podcast feed as well as this YouTube channel if you are watching. And there are links down below scrolling if you are watching to those things, or like little information. To Patreon and the donation links and things like that you can find in the description if you would like to support us that way, because we can't do what we do without that generous support. And we love all our patrons and donators dearly. And the social media, of course. You can find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on Twitter at The Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in the, because Jeannine.
3 is the magic number.
On Instagram, and as Jeannine said before, now on TikTok as well, at The Purple Dawn. Jeannine, all your mad stuff is where?
You can find me at Jeannine Devine _ on Twitter, Jeannine Devine on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to get any merch for any of our shows, you can see it scrolling below at our Teespring shop. Check the description for the link, or just search It's a Wonderful Podcast on teespring.com. And if you want to purchase any of my art in print form, you can find that at my Big Cartel shop, g9design.bigcartel.com.
There we go. Do think there's only one thing left to do. I'm not sure there's quite a good impression, really, from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, unfortunately. Do a Dom Toretto.
3, 2, 1, family.
Yeah. Ah.